Okay guys, it's Monday the 1st of October. So with the live trade today, we are on the FTSE 100. It is 17 minutes past 8 in the morning, so relatively early. And I've actually got the sun sort of coming through the window, and I've had to angle my screen for today's live trade. It's sort of sitting like this right across the right hand side of my face. So hopefully it's not sitting in the camera, but there's no other way that I can block the sun out. Now, as always with the live trade, what I'm going to do is I will talk you through my thinking coming into the trade, any sort of analysis, then when I'm making decisions in the trade, I'll sort of explain to you what it is I'm looking at and what it is that I am doing. So first thing, let's bring up the trade. For this one, smaller position size than normal because the stop is a lot larger than normal. Usually when I'm taking trades, my stops are maybe 12 points, 13 points on average, but this one is a lot bigger. It is sitting at around about 23 to 24 points. I don't really like taking trades with such a large stop. I prefer the really small stops. Then I can get into the trade, I can get into the market for maybe 10, 15 minutes and I can get back out again. But it has set up pretty nicely coming into today. So coming into the start of the day, the FTSE on Friday had made a fairly bearish movement. Now, it had made a bearish movement off of key resistance levels up above. Those resistance levels I have been watching sort of all last week with subscribers saying, if the market presses up into these, it's worthwhile looking for the weakness coming in, and looking for the market dipping back down once again. Now, coming into today, we had seen that stronger bearish movement. However, I wasn't convinced that that would be the start of a much stronger bearish move on the FTSE. As yet, we are coming into key resistance. I will be looking for that moving forward, but at present, with the move down we had on Friday, it didn't look to me like a significant enough move to trigger in a much stronger bearish movement. Now, coming into today, on the back of that, we had a couple of key support levels. You can see the market sort of hovering above them in pre-market trading. And then at the ATM open, we had a 50-point move down, huge move down. And what it has done is it has came down to Friday's low, and then it has broken down by about 13 to 14 points. So when this happened, and then when the market shot back up again, what I was looking at was, this is potentially a very strong move down to not only trigger in short positions, but to come down below Friday's low. What do a huge portion of traders do when they're trading? When they're buying, they put their stop below the low of the previous candle. So if they're looking at the daily time frame, if they're looking at this pullback on Friday as a potential for a buying opportunity, buy the lows, buy low, sell high. If they're looking at that Friday dip as giving them the low to buy into, then the market knows that very likely there's going to be lots of stops down here. So the market came down, shot back up again. We got a very strong bullish candle at 20 points at 5 past 8. So when we seen this, I was happy to use this as a piercing pattern to get into a long position. Now, getting into a long position with a relatively large stop, we've got a few management points up here for me. So one here, we've got one sitting just up above at here. And then we've also got the MA200 right here. So it's kind of a little bit of a congestion of resistance. So we've actually already rejected a little bit on this little swing point. So what I'm going to do is give it a little bit of wiggle room to come up and test into these levels. And then what I would really like to see is it breaking up into this zone up above. And if it does, then I'll be looking potentially when we get up into here to bring my stop to break even. If I can get my stop to break even, I'll then be looking to run the trade further. But at present, we're finding a little bit of resistance. We'll see how we get on. We may just reject and come back down again, because always with your trades, your analysis can be incorrect. I can see the sun coming into the camera. Let me just move my handy third monitor to try and block the sun a little bit more. Yeah, the analysis of course can be wrong, but it has set up in a way that I am happy to look at it as a potential entry. So we'll see how we get on. We'll see how we test into this resistance level. With it being such a large stop at 24 points, there's the potential that it could be a relatively long trade. So what I will do, as always, I will pause the trade. I'll turn it back on when the market starts to move one way or the other, because a lot of the time in a trade, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just sort of sitting and waiting for the market to make its move either to the bullish side or to the bearish side. I don't want to focus on the candles, because if I focus on the candles, like if I'm looking at this candle right now, I'm thinking to myself, it's looking bearish. Why am I in this trade? It might come against me, come out of the trade. So what I try and do is I try and stay away from the candlesticks. And then I only look when it starts to make the more significant movement. Unless, let's say, it moves sideways here for 5 or 6 candles. If I start to see that, then yeah, very likely what I would do is just come out of the trade at break even or for a very small loss, because then it's giving me the evidence that it's not, it isn't finding the bulls to break back through these previous swings. But at present, the way it is holding, there's not a lot to do. There's no point in me trying to make up analysis to talk you guys through it. There's no point of doing it to your own head. If you're trying to watch the charts and focus on every movement of a candle, you're just going to start making mistakes. With some of my trades, actually something I'm looking into right now is having not an indicator, an expert advisor built, which I can just set when I get into a trade, and I can set it to bring my stop to break even at a certain number of points. I can set it to take a certain amount of profit at a certain number of points, and then I can set it to take my full profits at a certain number of points. And then all I need to do is get into the trade, do the analysis, get into the trade, set everything up, and then I can get away from the computer. And I don't have to go through that sort of emotional turmoil that so many traders struggle through. So yeah, that's what I'm looking into right now. I think it'll help me free up some of my screen time, which is something that I am looking to do. But then on the flip side, I don't know if it will suit my trading. I may find that if I leave the computer and I'm not sort of sitting managing my trade, I'm sitting in the other room and I just, I can't focus on anything else because I'm just thinking about the trade. I'm wondering if the expert advisor is doing its job properly. I'm wondering if I need to go back and check anything. Maybe I've made a little mistake. That comes with, being a little bit of a control freak, which unfortunately I am. But for this one at present, we're starting to press up a little bit once again. We'll see how we get on. This is a potential area of resistance. The only reason I really like this trade is because, well, first of all, this candle is a decent distance to the first level of potential resistance that I was looking at, but it was also to do with the really strong spike, potentially clearing out those stops down there, potentially also triggering in those short positions before reversing. I was already looking at it as key support, but with key support, then I want something else added on top of it to give me the confidence to get into the trade. And for me today, it was that very strong candle, that very strong spike down. Because what are a lot of people going to be thinking when they see a 50-point candle like this? The market's bearish. I don't want to buy into this market. Let's sell, sell, sell. I don't want to miss this huge move down. And then just as they're starting to get into the market, then the market turns around and then it does what it wants to do. And it's the unfortunate thing about trading, it does things like this to trap people into trades because that's what gives the market the movement. That's what gives the market the liquidity so that it can then go on and do what it wants to do. It's the unfortunate thing about trading. We are playing against other real people, and even more unfortunate is you want to be correct and you want to take those people's money. Some people say it's not a very nice thing to do, but if you're an adult, if you come to trading, it's your own choice. It is what it is. And for one, I love trading. I really enjoy analyzing a market, trying to find my edge, trying to figure out what the market is telling me and what it is also trying to trick me into doing. Okay, so just watching this trade at present, we're testing up at this level. Going to give it a little bit more wiggle room, as I've mentioned. I'm going to pause the video. If we do start to break up, I'll very likely get my stop up into break even, and then I'll be looking to run the trade higher. But at present, we're still at the early stages of the trade. It's the sort of higher risk times in the trade when it can just reverse and come back against you. Yeah, so just going to let it run. What I'm going to do is pause the video. I'll turn it back on if we start to move one way or the other. So the trade has pressed higher. We are testing at this resistance zone up above. We've also got the MA200 sitting there at around about 7,510. So all I'm going to do now is bring the stop up to the break-even level, just sit it just up above it, and now the trade is protected because from this level we've pressed up, we have tested into the resistance area I was looking at. If we start to see rejection from here, I would rather be taken out at break even and then look for another potential entry rather than hold on to a trade that is moving against me, because it's testing at resistance, it's testing at the MA200, it's testing at all of these swing points. So for me, it would no longer make sense to just blindly hold on to this trade. So the trade is now protected, it's a free trade. I'm looking for it to press up into this zone up above. I'd say up toward the sort of 1-to-1 levels at a minimum. So that would be, we had a stop of around about 24 to 25 points. So around about 7,522 to 7,530. We'll see if the market can find further support or if we will just start to reject from these levels. The market is back down toward my entry level now. We had a nice bullish bounce. We got to around about 15.5 points and we tested into this zone. But then we've had the market starting to drift lower. If it does come down toward the entry, I'll just get taken out at break even. So a nice bounce, but with the entry candle being so large, it didn't really make sense to take profit at these levels. I was looking for another press up, higher into the zone. So if we do come down, get taken out of break even, that'll be the first trade of the week. And then I'll just basically go back to the drawing board. I'll start looking how the market reacts. I'm still happy to watch down here for potential support, also down here for potential support. And hopefully another nice entry, another nice simple entry. We're at 9:10. I was hoping for a cheeky early morning Monday finish. Doesn't look like it is to be for today, but we're still in the trade. I'll let it run and we'll see if we get taken out of break even or if we can find further support. We're at 10-2. I have just come out of the trade. I just got taken out at the break even level. We can see we've had an absolutely enormous bearish candle at 30 points. So very unexpected. First of all, I was so close to the profit target. I was basically looking for a pop up to 528 to 530. And if we had seen that, I would have closed out the trade. I was sitting at around about £550 of profit. And then literally within 5 seconds, the market collapsed and took me out at my entry point. Now, frustrating, first of all, first trade of the week, first trade of the month, going very well, getting toward that profit level, and then I get taken out at break even. But it shows the importance of having a stop in place because we're dealing with uncertainty, we're dealing with a market that we can't control, and what we can see is everything's looking rosy, getting up toward that profit target, and then something unexpected happens and the market makes a huge bearish movement of 30 points. So for the FTSE, that's a very, very large movement. You can see these other candles, 6 points, 4 points, 6.5 points. So this is a very significant movement. That's why it's very important to have a stop in place. One of the main things with your stop is, it stops the damage from unexpected moves like this. It takes you out automatically because I could just as easily have been in another room. And in all honesty, my stop was sitting around about here anyway, so it wouldn't have caused much damage. But there's nothing to say that I won't be in a trade with an entry here. And then this candle will come. And if you don't have a stop, it can start doing a serious amounts of damage to your account. So a little bit frustrating, but again, all part of trading and nothing I can do about it. So close to the profit target, sitting at around about £550, waiting all day for it, and then you give it all back to the market in the space of 4 or 5 seconds. A little bit frustrating. But anyway, I'm probably not going to get back into the market today after this candle. I'm not sure if maybe it's been some sort of news release. It may just be a very large order that's came into the market. But when it's reacting like that, I kind of want to just step back. I'll wait till tomorrow, I'll go back in, and then I'll look for another good setup. Okay guys, so that's everything for today and this week. I hope you're all having a good trading week. As always, I hope that was helpful. I'm James Orr, and thank you.